Thank you, NHS, for everything that you're doing. Thank you.
I just wanted to quickly say a massive thank you to the NHS. You guys are incredible. Thank you so much. Welcome back, everyone, to Daily Footy and Other Sports with. So we started our conversation with AATIF, and we are going to continue with a bit of wrestling, a bit of cricket. Shawn's on the other side, trying to sort that out. Let's see if we can get him back in.
My CM Punk. Let's see. Let me send invite. Yes. We're gonna see him. I think he's just arriving now. Yes. And then Mr. CM Punk.
There he is. Sort of. There we go. We're back. I think.
My partner in crime for Byron Saxton. We're the Byron Saxton boys.
Oh God. I don't think anyone wants to be compared to him. Couldn't you go like Jim Ross or someone? Or Taz.
We literally cheered for Byron Saxton. You know, we literally cheered for him on a show, and it was good. We're the only ones that's probably ever done that.
Hold on, Shawn. You say we, right?
He always does the royal we. He always does the royal we.
It was you, and I was just egging you on. What was interesting about that? We were at the SmackDown taping, and there was two chaps either side of us, right? So I was sitting next to Shawn. The other one side of me was Lawrence, and the other side of Shawn was a guy called Joel, and neither of them had met Shawn before. And I think they were kind of overcome. They were blown away by how much he was overcome by the presence of Byron Saxton, and he chanted for him throughout the 2.5 hours that we were there. It was really something to behold. I still have some of it on video footage. I'm gonna try and find it on my phone, but I found it massively amusing. I really enjoyed that. I think it's great. I think more people should do that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, because he's an underrated commentator. He plays a kid just to help Michael Cole and look more mature. So I think he does a really
character. Really, you're absolutely right. He plays his character as the kind of the kid waking up for Christmas type thing every show. He gets excited. He's happy. Like, I get it. I completely understand why you gravitate towards him, Shawn. His work is very good.
Shawn does the exact same in life as well. So I think it's fair to say.
And that's why we love him.
That's why we love you.
Don't encourage him at it. Come on. No. It's interesting actually because I'm obviously one of the sports we mentioned that you're also a fan of. If you want to call wrestling a sport, but is cricket, and it's interesting that they've continued competing in wrestling, but obviously, understandably, cricket, in most cases, is not even in season at the moment. Certainly not in England. They're trying to find different approaches, in the summertime to maybe handle playing behind closed doors. Have you heard much about what's going on at the moment? Or
yeah, well, it's a very apt time to bring it up because today would have been the very first day of the county championship season. So it traditionally starts with Easter. Today would have been the first delivery of the county championship this season would have been bowled today, and obviously that's not happening. It's been they've announced that there's not going to be any domestic cricket in England until at least the 28th of May. Which is really sad for cricket fans. That means we lose out on at least 2 months of the cricket summer. The last bit of competitive cricket around the world was the PSL, the Pakistan Super League, which I was also watching with great interest. They managed to play most of it before the closed door situation happened. Then they played for about sort of 5 games in closed door situations. And then just as they got the semi-final brackets ready, they had to postpone the rest of the tournament. It was really sad because the tournament had built up to a great crescendo. It was the first time they played Pakistan Super League entirely in Pakistan as well, because security issues have meant it's had to be played in the UAE and things like that. So it was a really exciting tournament. Great players from around the world, a lot of English players there as well. But they had to kind of essentially call it off at the semi-final stage, and that was really sad. They're talking about rescheduling it for November. Cricket in general is in trouble. This is really worrying because I know this is, as you guys know, I commentate for the BBC on the IPL. And, just during this pandemic, I haven't updated my calendar on my phone, but I keep getting these little pop-ups saying, oh, today is Rajasthan versus Kolkata, or today is, you know, like all these IPL matches that I'm supposed to be commentating on, which aren't happening either. They were the first people to take a very bullish stance and say on the 15th of April they would announce exactly what they were going to do with the IPL this year. But in India, they've announced already that there's going to be a further 2 weeks of lockdown after the current cycle ends, which means that the IPL is very unlikely to resume, even behind closed doors, till May. This is a big thing. So the biggest driver in sports currently is money, right? Let's be honest about it. It's sad, but it's true. The biggest driver in sports is money. This is why the IPL is the focal point of cricket, because the most this big tournament that brought in casual fans. Like it's quite disappointing when you think about it, because it's going to have the commercial impact is one thing, but the potential social impact that cricket could have had, you know, as this inclusive sport, as this sport that was trying to bring more diverse people into it. And by diverse people, I don't just mean like racially, I mean like, you know, gender wise, age wise. They really wanted to broaden the palette of cricket fans in the UK. That's all going to have to be put on hold. It's a great shame, and going forward, it's hard to envision anything but closed door matches for a long time, which makes me sad. Imagine watching an India versus Pakistan cricket match behind closed doors.
Oh,
Think of anything more sad,
The
like
peace and quiet
that's
is
sadder
almost
than
weird,
any
isn't
Shah
it?
Rukh Khan film I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Atif, you actually went. Atif went to the Pakistan for the grand opening in Rawalpindi, wasn't it? I think it was.
So the BBC sent me last year in November. Sorry, I beg your pardon. It was actually December for the resumption of Test cricket in Pakistan. So Pakistan hadn't hosted a Test match for 10 years since, you know, security issues became prevalent. So the first Test match they hosted was in Rawalpindi. It was against Sri Lanka, and the BBC sent me there to report on that and stuff. And it was an incredible experience to be there, to be part of this huge crowd that were there, to be part of this grateful media who were watching this Test match. It was extraordinary just to be in that environment with all the safety precautions that were being taken. You know, like, because, you know, once upon a time before the pandemic, the biggest issue in the world in terms of security in Pakistan certainly was terrorism, right? So that's what you had to watch out for. That's what the army were put out to protect people from.
Yeah.
But now, you know, with this pandemic, there's all sorts of things that they have to consider. It's a shame. It's such an inopportune time for Pakistan cricket, not just because the international tours have been affected, but because this hugely successful Pakistan Super League couldn't see a conclusion. It should have been historic. It should have been the one that they look back on in history as this is where the tide turned for Pakistan cricket, and they started to, you know, generate decent revenue again. Whereas that's not going to be the case.
And you interviewed quite a lot of stars there as well. I was watching throughout the period you was there. You interviewed a lot of I think was it the 93 Cricket World Cup finalists, the winners.
The 92 World Cup was the one that Pakistan won, and that was and Javed Miandad was present in that team, and a huge influence on that team winning that World Cup. And I did get a chance to speak to him. The whole show it's on the BBC somewhere. Like they did it. They were really happy with everything that we got. So they did like a visual piece. They did a whole podcast and a written piece as well. And it came out the day before the election as well, the written piece. So it was on the BBC homepage. I was really excited about that at the time. It's the first time I've been on the homepage. So
check it, guys. Check it. You know, excuse isolation. Check it.
There's a link to it on my website. I'll tell you about it later. But yeah, it was really cool to be a part of that, man. And like now, you know, with the circumstance we're in, you really realize how lucky you were to be part of these moments, because you don't know when the next one of these big moments is going to happen. It is like, I don't mean to go doom and gloom, but it is quite scary for cricket. Cricket is again one of those sports that requires a lot of people to be present, to be able to film, to be filmed properly. You know, what are we going to see when players get back on the pitch? Are they going to be wearing masks? Are they not going to shake hands? This is what was being talked about, because just as the pandemic was beginning, before it was declared a pandemic, the England team were due to tour Sri Lanka, and they formally announced that there would be no handshakes between the players because of this pandemic. And obviously they ended up calling off the whole tour, so it didn't happen. But they talked about no handshakes and doing this weird elbow thing, which I still can't get my head around. I'd rather just, you know, say hi from a distance. But
or kick each other.
It's bizarre. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't look like a great situation for cricket right now.
Yeah, and the players have actually
No, I mean,
So go on, Taz. He did some research.
Yeah, Sean, you don't know cricket. What are you doing? But no, I mean, I think I heard. I think it was Owen Morgan that actually said they're considering playing potentially a Test match and a ODI on exactly the same day behind closed doors, in different venues around England, just to sort of boost the spirits. You know, I mean, when you think about it in today's climate, your ODI players and your T20 players, they tend to be quite specific types of players, aren't they? You do get a few players who are in the, you know, so good that they can overlap into all formats. But you know, that, do you think that's something that's feasible? Do you think that's something that they might actually, you know, consider doing? Because, you know, if you've got a certain country coming to tour you, I think it's the Windies are coming to tour England this summer, if I'm not wrong. You know, they might feasibly have Hetmeyer in you know, Bristol playing a T20 match, and you might have someone more reserved in the at Lords or something playing a Test match. What do you think?
I'm I'm not a huge fan of the, obviously, because of the current scenario. You can't rule anything out. Anything could happen in any bizarre circumstance. I don't like the idea very much. You know, I think I'd like to see the best 11 players play the matches, and for each of those matches to get what they deserve. And with sport being as sparing as it is at the moment, I think broadcasters would bite their hands off. I wouldn't have to choose to watch, you know, a Test match over a T20 or the other way around. I'd like to be able to watch all of it. I know scheduling, and there's only a finite amount of days in the calendar, so they've got to try. And the English summer isn't particularly long,
More
so
reliable.
I think they pretty much, well, from what I gathered, they have pretty much postponed the West Indies tour. I know players are really itching to get back out there and start playing again, and that's the same for all sports. Like
Yeah.
footballers want to play football, cricketers want to play cricket, golfers want to golf, tennis players want to play tennis. Everybody just wants to get out there and do what they do. But you know, I think we have to recognize that sport is just, it's not different to everything else in society. You know, I want to go back out there and go and do my work. You know, I want to go back into the clubs and do some stand-up comedy. You know, you guys want to go out there, do your work. Everybody wants to go back to university, go back to college, go back to your business. Everybody wants to do that. You have to find the most efficient way to make it happen. And you know, you got to obviously take into consideration the commercial side of that, but also the health element can't be overstated. So it is what it is, man. We just got to wait, I think. And from what I gather, that is exactly what's going to happen as well. Fantastic tournament. So I really wanted to make sure I was, you know, fully engaged in both of those. So I was, you know, I had one on my tablet, one on my TV, or one on my computer, one on my phone. Like, I'm watching a lot of cricket at the same time and keeping up with all of it. So
can I repeat the question? Because I think Taz went out. He has went out. Would I be able to repeat the question, or did you?
I don't know what's going on today. I've had like recording issues like 3 or 4 times already. So it's very possible some of these parts might not actually.
So sorry, Atif. It's okay. Repeat that question just to make it look cool. Is that all right?
Sure, go for it.
Oh, so Atif, you kind of killed my joke then, because I was going to say that you was probably worried about the T20 and Test cricket not colliding, so you have less notifications on your phone of how many matches you would have to commentate on.
Well, that's not something that's bothered me previously. I'll happily watch multiple matches at the same time. That's not a problem. Like, you know, with the Pakistan Super League on this year, it coincided with the Women's World T20, which is also a huge event, really exciting event. So I wanted to watch both things, and you know, it's not unusual for me to be watching a match on television, another match on my tablet, another match on my computer, one on my phone, whatever. Like, you know, and be discussing the whole thing on WhatsApp or Zoom or whatever. So like, that's not the issue. The issue really is for those matches to have their own precedent. You know what I mean? Like, it's okay. I understand England will sometimes play a cricket match on the same day as India playing a match on the other side of the world, or Australia playing it. And you'll often have these circumstances. You have these beautiful days in cricket, Sean, sometimes. Sometimes life just lines up beautifully, where there'll be a T20 match at 9 o'clock in the morning, and it'll end at 11, just in time for the start of a day's Test cricket, which will end just in time for the start of a T20 match in the West Indies, which will end just in time for an Australian Test match to begin. So you can literally watch 24 hours of cricket back to back. This happens frequently in cricket, and we are grateful for it when it happens. But right now, I would hate to see 2 England matches at the same time. Like, I think each of those matches should have their own precedence. I think each of those players should have their own moment in the sun. I think fans shouldn't be forced to decide between Test or T20 or one-day international cricket, particularly with the same nation playing. It's always about the team. You know what I mean? So if you support England, you watch England play, whether it's a T20 one day or a Test match. If you support Pakistan, same as that. It's not, you don't watch the T20 over the Test or the Test over the T20. I mean, some people probably do, but generally speaking, it's about the team that is the
Yeah.
thing, and that's why I'd hate for that circumstance that Owen Morgan alluded to playing out.
Yeah,
Two games,
100%.
yeah. No, I mean, I had sort of a two-pronged question actually. It's open to the floor. I've got my own opinions as well, but what would you say is your favourite match that you've seen on TV or even commentated on? And what would you say is your favourite match that you've attended? You know, it's a long, hard list, I suspect.
So yeah, I mean, that's very easy. That's actually really easy for me. My favorite match that I attended and commentated on was the World Cup final, England against New Zealand.
Oh, I hate you so much.
So I was there. I was present for it. I got to commentate on it for two different broadcasters, and I got to just be present. I got to be one of the first people on the pitch to congratulate the players as well, because I was doing post-match interviews, and you know, I've got these wonderful selfies with Moeen Ali and Adil Rashid and Josh.
As long as you didn't get one with Joss Butler, then I'm fine.
No, I didn't get to Joss. I like Joss, but I didn't get to him.
Anyone but him.
I got. So I mean, it was great. I'll always remember that. That was incredible. It's such a privilege, really, to be on that. To walk on the Lord's outfield at any time is a privilege.
Absolutely.
But to walk on there just after the World Cup has just been decided in the most extraordinary of circumstances. That is by far my best memory of being in the stadium when a match was taking place, broadcasting or otherwise. And in terms of watching at home, obviously it was the Pakistan versus India Champions Trophy 2017 final. I mean, I will never see anything that incredible ever again. To be India in the way that they did, in that, it was just the most extraordinary. And that's also good about it. It happened during Ramadan.
I was there.
Well, there you go.
I'm a Bangladesh and England fan, so it was horrible for me.
I know you should have sold your ticket. It would have made a fortune. But I mean, I was offered a ticket by a fan, so I put out a tweet just a few days before the match saying, like, I don't have a ticket to this. This is before I had any kind of broadcasting connection in 2017. So I was like, you know, I've got a small fan following. So I'm like, guys, if anybody can get me a ticket, I'll really appreciate it. And then I got a bunch of messages from people saying, one fan in particular was like, come and join me, be my guest. And I gave up the ticket. I let him take my brother instead of me. So because it was Ramadan and it was hot, and I just, I wanted to just be at home and watch it with an air conditioner. And they won. So I take full credit for that. I think it was my selfless giving away of the ticket that allowed Pakistan to win that match in those glorious circumstances.
It was beautiful weather. I remember there was an Indian guy who was just handing out aloo paratha to a lot of the English guys and basically bribing them to cheer on India. It was fantastic. No, for me personally though, watching wise, it had to be the World Cup final a couple of years ago. What am I saying? Last year.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I went to a couple of the matches, but I just couldn't get tickets to the final, unfortunately. I did get to see England, did get to see Bangladesh, and I got to see both of them play each other as well in Cardiff. But attending-wise, it was actually the Women's World Cup final that was hosted in 2017 by England again, because it was England were definitely the better side, but India were fantastic that day, and they just blew it, to be honest. And needing about 6 or 7 wickets, with them needing about 10, 13 runs or something like that. And then Anya Shrubsole just rocks up and then basically says, "Hi there, I'm going to be Wisdom Cricketer of the Year, if that's all right with you guys." Okay, cool. It was insane. And it only cost 10 quid. 10 quid at Lord's to see that kind of drama. You just. It's just bargain. It was the best thing I've ever seen in my life. Yeah,
amazing. But Shawn, what's your favorite match that you've ever attended?
Yeah,
the World Cup '99 final.
You went to it?
I'm joking.
Who was playing in the World Cup '99 final, Shawn?
Very good.
I was trying to tease Artie when he got me back with his.
Because if I remember correctly, it was The Undertaker and John Cena, right? In a T20 match.
Yeah, Cena was in green and Undertaker was in black, I believe. Yeah.
Anything with CM Punk or
did
Undertaker.
not see this.
Yeah. Like,
what about on TV? What about on TV then? You must have one on TV.
I don't really watch much of the cricket. A lot of Indian fans will laugh at me whenever India would beat Pakistan. World Cup, I think, in 2012. They beat us in the semis, right? Or
2000. It was 2011, I think, the one you mean.
Yeah. I bunked. I think I avoided one lecture, and then like everyone met and then we all were watching the pub next to the dental school. Yeah, like it was a practical, it was a meaningless practical one. I came with a Pakistani shirt. Everyone else around me was Indian shirts, and then India won, and I had to suck it up. That's the only cricket match I've ever watched.
Okay, that was a lot weirder than I was expecting, if I'm honest. I thought you might have seen one whole match properly in full and enjoyed it, but hey, we'll get what we get. Yeah, I mean, like, when do you realistically? We'll finish on this one quick question, I guess. When do you realistically think and hope that both cricket and indeed most sports will be back, if not in a complete capacity, then at least behind closed doors? I mean, it's so hard to predict, but it's possible maybe in the coming months. But what are your thoughts?
So the ECB have said that there will be no cricket till the 29th or the 28th of May. So certainly not before then, right? I'm hoping that from June onwards we get half a season, and at this point I'd be very happy with that. I think it will be behind closed doors, but I'm kind of hoping from June onwards. I know players are training; they've been told to keep training at home, and a lot of the England cricket team at the moment are putting out some excellent social media content, just with their training regimes at home and things like that. So I think from the 1st of June we'll see some cricket happening in the UK. It will probably be behind closed doors. I think football might happen a little bit sooner than that, just because of the broadcasting ramifications. Like they've got a contract to deliver on, not unlike the WWE. So they've got to get those games happening as quick as possible. You might see a lot of second and third string teams in the football arena, but I think you'll get more. I think you'll get football before cricket. Cricket you certainly won't get before the end of May, unless the IPL throws a monkey wrench into the. Now you got to remember the IPL is worth more than anything, right? So the IPL is probably the only sports league on a par with the Premiership. Bearing in mind it only runs for like 2.5 months, so it's not as long as the Premiership, but I think proportionately it generates a similar kind of revenue, pro rata. So they got to try and make that happen. I'm curious to see how they do it. They've set an April 15th deadline, which is in 3 days time. So we'll find out a little bit more. The whole country is going to be in lockdown still, so it's difficult to foresee that league taking place in April. But one would hope that maybe May, maybe mid-May, maybe just before the English season, the IPL can kick off. That would be nice. But yeah, I think the first thing you're likely to see is the IPL, then probably Premiership football, and then the county championship.
Yeah, I think that's fair. It's just difficult, I think when in talking about postponements and indeed maybe cancellations and things like that, you've got to realize if it's postponed or cancelled completely for a season, everyone's a year older, and that's maybe stretched too far for a lot of people. So I think we all hope they get action going again in a couple of months' time. What about you, Shawn? I'll finish with you.
It's not just Indian. It's not Indian-based players. That's what AATIF is. That's why IPL's got so much of a big figure. Maybe not as big as a Premiership. Come on, man. I'm joking. But it's got so many big stars from all over the world. So we're also talking about people are traveling into India from perhaps nations that may have not had the best quarantine methods, or they could be questionable. So we're not just talking about Indian-based players playing for these massive franchises, which they are franchises more than anything. It makes it more difficult to have players performing.
Yeah, we just wanted your prediction on when they'll start, that's all.
Oh, sorry. I had to use a bit of knowledge there.
Atif, I'd love to say you get used to this, but we've been doing this for about 3 weeks, and he still does tangents within his tangents. But when do you think? Predict a period of time.
I'll follow whatever Atif says, or you, or whatever you both say. I'm going to be safe.
That's why he's Shawn the Sheep. I think on that note, we will wrap up for today. I've just got to say thank you, a massive thank you, Atif, for joining us on the call. I'm sure we can drag you along to another one of these calls.
Check him out on Twitch.
Yeah,
amazing comedy show on Saturday night. Amazing. It made a lot of people laugh. It was fantastic. Thank you for the laughs during these dreadful times and making everyone cheer up. Thank you.
Exactly.
Oh, it's my pleasure, man. Like, yeah, in the if you want to like follow, I'm doing all sorts of stuff on social media at the moment, just because everybody is, and just passing the time. So, like, yeah, pleasure. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you so much. See you later, guys. Bye now.